Member for Drysdale.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I'd like to first rise and thank the Opposition Leader for thanking the Power and Water staff. It's a nice change to hear from the other side of the chamber to be supporting our good public servants, so thank you, Opposition Leader. It's a shame not everybody in the Labor-Greens-Johnson alliance followed suit, and we saw in question time once again the ugly using the power of this place to throw mud at people who do not have the power to respond. If you have an issue, attack the minister. That's what we're here for. We don't need to. It is unbecoming of a parliamentarian to attack those outside of this House who cannot respond. Mr Deputy Speaker, I rise in support of the electricity market reform legislation introduced by the Minister for Mining and Energy. This legislative reform of our electricity system and market is urgently needed, and it is long overdue to ensure Territorians have reliable energy. The good member for Blaine has discussed the issues we see in our electorates of Blaine and Drysdale, especially the older suburbs of Palmerston, where blackouts have unfortunately become a common part of our daily lives. And so I will support any measure to improve the reliability of our energy infrastructure throughout the Palmerston region. And once again, I thank the Deputy Chief Minister for bringing this on so that we can restore reliability to the grid. Mr Deputy Speaker, our government has scrapped Labor's foolhardily 50% 2030 renewable target. We scrapped it because, Mr Deputy Speaker, 50% renewables by 2030 would have meant the people of Drysdale would be paying humongous dollars that they do not have for energy. And I will not stand in this House and condemn the people I represent to mountains of debt and huge electricity prices in the pursuit of some vague idea of virtue, Mr Deputy Speaker. I will always stand here and advocate for the people of Drysdale, and they want cheap, reliable energy. Cheap, reliable energy, Mr Deputy Speaker, that is what I want. And as we heard about some of the discussion today about our natural gas and other fossil fuels that we are providing, this House should remember that it is not just the Northern Territory, there is a whole world. And right now, today, according to the International Energy Agency, 750 million people will go without electricity. All of them in the most impoverished parts of the world. A further 2.1 billion will only access energy through dirty fuels, generally being cooking fuels in the form of biomass, in the form of charcoal, both of which are extremely toxic to the people using it and far more polluting. And so when we discuss energy supply in our own backyard, we must remember what it means to our neighbours. If we have the potential to get cheap, much cleaner fuels out of our earth and get them to our neighbours all around the world, and we can get them out of poverty so that they can also enjoy cleaner energy, healthier energy, then I would say, as citizens of the world, we owe that. We have a moral responsibility to the rest of the world, and the NT's clean gas reserves, far cleaner than traditional forms of fossil fuel, we have a moral obligation to ensure we can get them out of poverty, industrialise them as fast as possible, so that they can then afford the zero-emission technologies. Because it's all good and well for us to sit in this chamber and talk about how great we all are, with our Western wealth, when people all around the world will never have access to that degree of technology that we do. So I say on that, we have a moral responsibility to access our gas reserves for people all around the world. I spoke earlier this week on the need of cheap energy. We must adopt a least cost approach, which is exactly what the Minister is aiming for, to provide secure and reliable electricity for Territorian homes and businesses. I spoke earlier yesterday about what that actually means, because cheap energy means we can have manufacturing, it means we can run our homes cheaper, so for the people in Drysdale that means jobs. Jobs that have evaporated because of the mismanagement of energy in this country. It means you spend less on your power bills, so you can spend more on education, on health, on going shopping, on taking your kids out for the weekend, going camping. This is what our government wants. We don't want you spending unnecessarily amounts of money on energy. Without these reforms, Madam Speaker, the NT's cost of electricity generation will continue to rise sharply, and our community service obligation to subsidise Territory energy bills simply won't keep up. It's like the other side doesn't want to speak about the plain truth that Territorians face. The fact is, the cost of energy is going up, and it's going up sharply, and without these amendments, it will only get worse, Madam Speaker. Now, this isn't about the ideology of gas versus renewables, because I've spoken many times in this place of the huge opportunity solar presents in the Northern Territory. And so, to be sucked into that argument is a falsehood as well, because we see huge potential in solar, but what we want to deliver is cheap, reliable energy. We want to minimise the blackouts that occur throughout the Territory and occur in Drysdale. So to my residents, particularly in Driver and Grey, who experience regular blackouts, that is what we're aiming at doing. We must place downward pressure on energy costs and reinforce the stability and reliability of our ageing infrastructure. And to highlight the age of some of the infrastructure we're dealing with, on Channel Island, gas generators are almost 40 years old. That's older than some members of this chamber, including myself, Madam Speaker, and the member for Goyder. And as the ladies at Anti-Breast Cancer Voice will attest to, I don't move as well as I once did, and I'm sure those generators aren't functioning as well as they once did. So these reforms are required to legislate the most cost-effective and time-effective way to shore up our deteriorating electricity networks. We are moving quickly to make up for years of Labor inactivity and neglect in this space. Our government is finalising the Regulated Electricity System Investment Plan, which we need to implement swiftly to prevent frequent blackouts in this term of government. The people of Alice Springs and Katherine in particular are vulnerable to increased frequency and duration of blackouts in the near term, as reported by the Utilities Commission. By bringing forth this legislation, our government is tackling our electricity challenges head-on behalf of Territorians, because that is who we have put this bill up for, and we are not ashamed to say that we are backing Territorians so that they can have reliable, cheap energy. Once this legislation is in place, we will have a legislative pathway to accelerate and roll out the RESIP with robust governance and oversight by Cabinet and the Electricity System and Market Operator. This will ensure that Territorian taxpayer money is spent wisely, procuring and contracting what we need, when we need it, with two explicit aims. One, putting downward pressure on electricity costs to both Territorians and NT government. That's you at home. That is the people of Drysdale. We want downward pressure on electricity costs for the people of Drysdale and my electorate and NT government. And number two, reinforcing our electricity infrastructure to ensure that Territorians enjoy the electricity reliability that they deserve, keeping aircons running even in the peak of the wet season. To do this, we must pass these electricity market reforms. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I commend the Minister and I commend this bill to the House. Thank you.